All right, guys, in this video, we are going to be talking about the top niches to take a look at. So just know that you guys, this is somewhat speculative based on my experience of working with a lot of different industries, a lot of research that we've done from other agency owners, other agency owners' experiences. So overall, I did a bunch of my own research on this stuff initially. Over the last years of running my agency, I continue to look at different potential marketplaces and other areas that we can go into as an agency. So I put together this list, especially for you beginners that are like, well, struggling to figure out a niche to go into. And again, the thing is, if you do niche down, I want you to just consider the fact that your marketing becomes more cohesive. You can really learn about an industry. The constant conversation of like niching down or not niching down, I don't want to steer you guys in the wrong direction here. I do think that if you are new, I would start off by picking, two industries that really interest you that you want to go into. Hopefully this list is going to help you guys make that decision to where you can know, like, hey, if I pick two of these, like, I have a good chance of landing my first clients in it. Okay. If you're an agency that's been around for a while, I bet this list will just kind of help, fire off some different things based on the experiences that we've had in these different industries. Because, maybe I've definitely gone through a point where, like, I was working really heavily with financial advisors. I decided that after about a year and a half that industry wasn't exactly what I wanted to be working in. So I shifted multiple different times. I landed on my local business niches, essentially, which is like home service businesses, because it allows me to pinpoint and go into these different industries with a very specific offer, messaging that matches what they like to hear and are looking for, and also through experience, what we can fulfill on. Okay, because I do think the side of the coin that's not talked about a lot that is super important is, are you actually getting an ROI for your client to where they stick around, right? Because client retention, it's one thing to constantly do sales and close new deals. Like, anyone can do that if you're willing to put the work in. Okay. Where the flip side of the coin that gets a little difficult is, can you retain them? Can you keep that customer relationship going? Can you provide a great quality service? Which, again, when you're starting out, you can use white labelers. We have our trusted list of white labelers inside the course, that you can pretty much know that you're going to get a decent service with that. Now, as you grow into a much bigger agency, you might want to bring that in-house. But in this video, let's go through these niches, you guys, so you have a better understanding and maybe give you some ideas for where you want to go into. Okay. So first of all, drink venues. Okay. Avoid. Okay. We have our avoid list. We're going to go through those first. Too low ticket, not profitable for ads. Okay. So when thinking about niches, you guys, again, we talk about the three main things that you're looking for. How much is their service? What does it take to acquire a customer? Is the sales process long or short? And then ultimately, would it work for, these different services that you're offering? Now, it doesn't mean that you can't go build a business around it. It's just gonna be a lot more difficult. Okay. So it made our avoid list. Food delivery, viable only if high ticket. Okay. Most services do not meet the criteria that we are looking for when going into a niche. Okay. Restaurants, ads don't work the way that they used to with restaurants. Now, with that said, there are specific services that I have had success with in restaurants. I have worked with a couple different restaurants. I've been successful with SEO for restaurants. We've also been successful with geofencing. But overall, as a whole, I put avoid just because it is a tough industry. And if you're, again, a lot of this comes down to like, if you are brand new into running a marketing agency, I want to see you guys have success. So that's why this made our avoid list. Cafes, again, low average customer value, not necessarily profitable for ad services. Car garages, okay. Now, as a whole, these are suitable for non-repair services. I want to preface this by like garage repair like services are just not ideal for ads. Like mainly because when people need their car repaired, they go to the nearest place to do it, or they already know of a place that they would take their car to. It's not typically something that someone sees a Facebook ad and they're like, oh, well, maybe I need to think about getting my car repaired. It just doesn't work like that. So it's not suitable for that. Now, a service like car wraps or specific car parts, different story, right? If you're doing ads for like a car wrap company, they can work really well because it is something that if people saw a really cool video or a specific car with a really cool wrap, it might intrigue them to want to go get that done. And now they know the company that can do it. So just keep that in mind. Music artists, challenging to get consistent bookings through social media, and it's suitable for specific cases only. Again, just because of that, we're looking for consistency here, you guys, and clients that actually work within our services well. So that's why I put this on the avoid list. Towing, services sought when needed. Challenging for regular lead gen, better suited for Google ads than Facebook. Again, it's not that you can't go into it, but it is going to be a lot tougher of a service to go into. They're not the easiest people to work with. So that's just been our experience. Handyman services, challenging due to irregular job sizes and frequency. It's more suitable for established professionals. So handyman can work. However, handyman services is like, there's a lot of individuals that are going into this area of work right now because it's easy to get into, and if you have knowledge in doing stuff, but ultimately running ads for it it's just not consistent. So that's been our experience with it. So we put it on the avoid list. Funeral services, considered a sensitive niche, not ideal for typical marketing strategies, low likelihood of high ad spend. Now, with this said, this is the one service that I was like back and forth on because I almost want it to be on a medium. I have seen agency owners be very effective in this space, but just due to frequency and ultimately, you really have to have kind of some knowledge of the industry to go into it. So just keep that in mind. Pest control, services sought mainly a need, difficult for consistent lead generation, better suited for Google ads. I think originally, when a ton of companies I know at least 10 years ago when I was first learning SEO, pest control and like locksmiths and all that stuff were heavily targeted. So I think that part of it could be saturation, but also it being a service that a lot of times people work off of recommendations. So if their neighbor uses a pest control company, or typically pest control companies are farming neighborhoods and stuff like that. So I just think people have easy access when they need it. So it's not as effective with ads. Locksmiths, service typically searched for only when needed, challenging to maintain consistent lead gen, same thing. Removal companies. So this again was one that I sit on the fence with, okay? Junk removal companies can work well. I do believe that you run into a lot of individuals that do junk removal that are smaller based companies that want to grow their business. I just think that in my experience, they want a much lower price of entry. So I was actually doing junk removal, lead gen on LinkedIn and getting quite a few responses. But I would say that 90% of the time I ran into, even at a $500 service offering, was getting a lot of like, it's too expensive. So it just tells me that it's something that people look for only when they need. So it's not always something that works necessarily for like Facebook ads and stuff like that. Better for search based, which again comes down to Google. So it can work, but just for our sake of like giving you guys like the best niches to originally go into, I would say avoid it. Photographers, challenging due to high individual nature of service. It's difficult to scale. Again, a lot of times photographers are one-man shows. If you can find a company that has multiple photographers on their team, you may be able to scale that. I put it as avoid. I have worked with photographers, especially for SEO, but it was very specific. They were real estate photographers. They did have a team of like 3 or 4 photographers on their team, and they were tied in with some, like we got them tied in with a lot of different real estate companies through their advertising. So because it was specific to like a niche like that, and again, it can work, but I just think scalability is difficult for sure. Video editors, niche market, not ideal for lead generation strategies. It's challenging to maintain the client base. Zoos, typically low ticket. Also, most people, if they're going to go to a zoo, they know where the zoo in their area is. So it's not necessarily profitable with ads. Event security, services specific and often sought on a needed basis. It's difficult to maintain consistent demand. Okay. So again, when we're always looking at these niches, you guys, we are looking at like, if you're running a campaign for a client, can you run that campaign for a long period of time and have consistent leads coming in to help them grow their business, right? Event security guards, like it can be difficult. You know, anytime you see a service that could potentially flatten out and your ads no longer work, like I would just say avoid it. So architects, clients typically seek architects based on specific needs. A lot of times they're working off of referrals, more on direct search and reputation. So again, I guess if you were to take on architects as a client and you wanted to work with them on reputation management, on maybe, you know, website builds and stuff like that, I could understand. But overall, if you're trying to scale in that vertical, it can be difficult. Okay. So let's get into some of our easy ones. Okay. Now these easy ones, again, I would say if you are brand new into agency life and are trying to get your feet wet, trying to get your first clients, these would be the industries that I would suggest, hey, test the water in 2 of these that interest you, okay? Because that's going to give you your best chance of like landing your first client, going through the process of your sales calls, your contracts, doing fulfillment, hiring a white labeler, understanding client communication on the back end. These are the niches that I would say to take a look at, okay? So first of all, we've got car detailing, okay? It can be a high ticket service. Car wraps, car parts are good. Like I said before, avoid repair focused garages, but car detailing, even like tinting services could be okay. So, and again, when you look at your pricing and the way that you do your services, like when you're trying to get your feet wet initially, even if you offered, you know, Facebook lead gen with SMS text message, email, auto missed call, text back for a $500 price point, just to get like your first service across. You can always raise your prices once you have experience, once you have case studies, and once you understand the industry, right? So again, we can talk about it more in another video, but I want you to consider as you're looking at these niches, it is important when you start building your case studies and understanding the niche and what they actually make per service. So if you start working with a couple car detail companies that do, let's say, car wraps, and you see, hey, we're bringing these guys 50 leads a month, they're closing 20 of those, and that's equating to, I don't know, however many thousands of dollars that it would be, but let's say $8,000 worth of, and you're charging $750 or $999 a month. Like, that makes sense to that business owner. So at that point, after a couple of clients, even if you're just going in inexpensive and getting those first couple clients under you, getting some case studies, understanding the value, the actual value that you bring that business owner. Now you can go back to the next one and say, hey, we charge $1,500 a month, and here's why. Here's what we've done with other companies. Here's what we've achieved. Here's the ROI that they got. And it still makes sense to that company. Does that make sense? So childcare, easy. It's accessible to business owners. Avoid very small businesses. Focus on providers with employees, okay? This is really important, you guys. As you're looking at these business owners, a lot of times you're going to have solo business owners come through your pipelines, okay? You, on those discovery calls, really need to discover if that's going to be a good client for you, all right? And it takes some skill, right? Once you've worked with a lot of different businesses, you can kind of get a feel for, what to expect. But a lot of times if they're a solo business owner and they have no employees, the likelihood is they're probably not going to call their leads back. So, you sometimes have people come through your funnels and they're like, well, if I don't close 20 new deals this month, we're going to have to close the business. It's probably not going to be a great client for you because they're not going to have enough time for you to optimize things for them and for you to get the right things in places. So just understand that focusing on providers with employees initially is going to be a much faster, safer route for you as a new agency owner to get the job done right. Sports coaching, ideal for beginners, especially martial arts, personal trainers. It's great for lead generation. Martial arts studios is a good one. Gyms, stuff like that are still great. There's still a ton of personal training facilities and stuff like that popping up all the time. So it is kind of evergreen, meaning that as new people get into the industry constantly, they're starting new businesses. So those people are looking for services. So it's never really saturated. Fitness coaching, niches like yoga, dance, Pilates, great for beginners, ideal for ad services. Makeup artists, suitable for high-end services, profitable for ad services, but focus on the high-end market, okay? Again, when you find the right like sub niche inside of a niche, meaning that maybe they're hairstylists to famous people or something like that. Like that is a kind of a little niche inside of a niche that could be a market that you could break into, and they still have a high enough value for it to make sense. Hair salons are profitable for services like hair coloring, high-end treatments. If they don't have, things like successful ads in place, follow-up, automation, AI, all of that stuff is going to be good services for companies like this. Construction, high demand. Everyone needs some form of construction work. They rarely utilize lead gen well. So this is a good industry. Solar, good demand in market, similar benefits to other manual labor niches for ads. There is some competition in solar, but at the same time, like they are always looking for good lead generation. I've worked with quite a few solar companies myself. And I mean, just know going into this particular niche, there's a lot of pay per lead industries, but what I've found with those is you can have the conversation with the business owner of, hey, have you done any pay per lead where you guys buy leads from a company? And they're like, yes. It's like, well, instead of doing that, why don't we actually build your brand? Why don't we actually build out your funnels? And so rather than them coming in through a separate brand or separate place, like it's actually branded to you. So you already have built-in brand recognition. You no longer have to pay those other companies $100 per lead, $200 per lead. Let's generate it for a lot less, but it's branded to you. You own the lead list, all that stuff. So it's going to be the same with roofers, you guys. High demand, manual labor market, great potential for lead ads. Gutters, a lot of times these are like roofers, a lot of times are also gutter companies. So, but it could be separate, High demand labor market, great potential for lead ads. You've got bricklayers, easy, consistent demand in construction, not heavily utilizing online ads. HVAC, you guys, there's always high demand for HVAC. It can be seasonal. Like for instance, in Phoenix, when it's 120 degrees outside during summer, AC demand during that time is really, really high. Okay. So great potential during specific times of year. So with that said, like you'll find a lot of agencies that do HVAC also do plumbing. They also do, say, roofers. Because if one is seasonal, you need to kind of have that fallback niche to play into. Landscapers, consistent demand for home improvement services, good niche for lead ads. Decks and fences, another great industry, you guys. And if you're coastal, like I am in Florida, I've worked with quite a few boat deck companies as well. So when you think decks and fences, you've got like home deck and fence, but you've also got marine, like boat decks and stuff like that too. So boat lifts, stuff like that can all kind of tie into that. But it is part of the home improvement market. It's got a steady demand. It's ideal for local marketing, lead generation. Tree services, right, is another good opportunity for those that like working with those types of individuals. We just had a couple trees removed at our place. Actually, our neighbor just had a tree removed that, it was like $1,000 to remove the tree. So they have a good ticket service or high ticket value on their service. And a lot of times if you can get in with the right guys that have, teams and are able to scale, then it could be a good market. Window cleaning, great lifetime customer value with package deals. We have a donut shop downtown in St. Pete called Daddy's Donuts. And ultimately, we have a window cleaner that comes once a week. So that service overall for like a month is like $400 just to clean the shop's windows. So when you take that up to like a lifetime value of a client, let's say we use them for 12 months, right? You're now looking closer at like a $5,000 service per year. So that can be considered high ticket when you're talking to the client about LTV. Window cleaning, let's see, pressure washing, similar to other home service niches, good demand, effective for local marketing and ads. I do think this industry has been hit a lot. There are quite a few good marketing agencies, but that's not a bad thing. Okay. Anytime I'm doing research in a market and I go look at other digital marketing agencies in the space, like pressure washing, for instance, and you see someone doing really, really well, they've got an active YouTube channel, they've got a great website. What's great about it is they've done the research for you guys. So if you're smart about it, you don't always have to recreate the wheel. Okay. You just have to find something you want to work in and can be passionate about. And you can take a look at what other people are doing in the market and recreate it in a better way, Painters and decorators, consistent demand in home improvement, avoid one-man bands for better profitability. Domestic cleaners, focus on clients seeking regular monthly services. And again, talking about LTV, target a higher lifetime value. Junk removal, we actually kind of talked about that in removal companies. So, but good demand, especially for larger scale services. Focus on effective lead generation. Again, this was one that I kind of wavered on. Maybe that's why I put it down here as well, was that I do think that it can be effective. I think if you nail down your price point and you get a couple of case studies under you, you could really scale in this industry. So just keep that in consideration. Flooring, consistent demand in construction and renovation, good potential for lead gen in home improvement. Electricians, high demand in both residential and commercial sectors, and you can focus on larger companies here as well. Skip hire, which is untapped potential in local markets, good for agencies to experiment and basically prove the concept. So you've got gyms, high demand, especially in areas not saturated with ads, easy to get results for. Again, great. Gyms are great for database reactivation, you guys. So also, as you're looking at this stuff, maybe take some notes. You can even just make a copy of the sheet, create some more cells, make some notes to it on industries you want to go into and the potential services that you want to go into those industries with, okay? Let's see, we've got chiropractors, good potential if the market's not already saturated and effective for lead generation. Now, chiropractors, you guys, are one of the big ones that you hear about in all the different marketing courses that are out there. A lot of people are hitting this industry and hitting them hard right now. So while it's still easy, because I always look at this, the market's never saturated, you guys, because there are new people coming out of chiropractic school every day or every year, right? So there's always new places popping up. That's why in a lot of these industries, you don't have to worry about, you really just have to worry about getting your foot in the door and creating some case studies and building your brand around an industry, because that will lead to more clients. As long as you're getting your clients results, they're going to refer people to you, okay? It's that initial breakthrough that's the hardest part. But once you get that nailed down, you'll be fine. So I still have it on easy because really, if you land a couple of them, it's going to lead to a couple more, right? Dog trainers, high demand due to a large number of dog owners, good potential for lead generation. And overall, again, can be a reasonable ticket size because of the long-term value of the clients, you know. And a lot of pet owners sometimes end up owning multiple pets, so they go back to that dog trainer, they refer that dog trainer. So I mean, ultimately, they get a lot of repeat referral business based on the ads and stuff that you're running. Nail salons, good lifetime customer value with regular visits, ideal for local marketing. Now, again, take into account what I just said, you guys. That's another thing. Maybe make another column and say, does this client get a lot of referrals based on people that use their service? Because nail salons, for instance, when women get their nails done, guess what? Their girlfriends see them. They're like, oh my God, I love those. Where did you get your nails done? Oh, I went to so-and-so. Now, if that person came in through an ad that got a service done, and then they go talk to their 5 girlfriends, and those girls go get their nails done, and that just keeps going, like that still came in from your one ad. So the repeat business is an important factor to be talking about to these clients as well. Home security, consistent demand for services like CCTV, good for local marketing and reaching homeowners. Phone repair, consistent demand for repairs, ideal for local lead gen, effective for targeted advertising, because, man, you'd be surprised at how many people every single day break their phone, right? We all have dropped our phone many of times. People drop their phone all the time. And ads are effective because ultimately you're just placing an ad in front of somebody so they know that you're in the area. And a lot of times people will remember the brand. And then through retargeting and stuff too, it's very effective. Pool cleaners, steady demand, especially in specific regions or seasons. Good potential for repeat business. This is another one, you guys. I've seen 2 or 3 really good pool cleaning agencies. If that's an industry that interests you, just go do your research on some of these other agencies that are in the marketplace. Take a look at their websites, take a look at their YouTube channels. Get a feel for what they're doing, right? Same thing with any of these niches that you go into. Nutritionists, increasing demand for health and wellness services, good niche for targeted health marketing. And now let's get into what I consider to be medium difficulty, okay? Financial advisors, you guys, these are great for lead generation. Their sales cycle is very long. So you can generate leads for these guys. But overall, it can be challenging to reach the actual business owner. So depending on what type of lead generation that you guys are doing, when you guys get to the section of the course that we reveal the software that we use for Facebook outreach, that can be very effective because there are a lot of great Facebook groups for financial advisors that have thousands and thousands and thousands of them. So if you have a foot in the door offer with this, it can still be very successful. The issue that I found was the sales cycle, meaning that ultimately, if you got them a lead, sometimes they didn't close that lead for like 4 months. Okay. So as long as you can have those conversations with financial advisors, it is an industry that you do have to know quite a bit going into it. So, but I didn't know anything about the industry when I first went into it. And I learned everything I could about the different types of services that they offered and ultimately got my foot in the door. Accountants, difficult to reach the business owners. Typically you're going to talk to a gatekeeper, but it is generally a good niche. Kitchen and bathroom renovators, temporarily saturated due to exposure and popularity, but it'll likely become easier over time. I've seen this getting pitched by quite a few other agency coaches and doing over the shoulder type stuff, which means that a lot of people ended up just doing it as well and copying. And that's going to be one thing, you guys, is that anytime you're going through a program, right? Like if I taught you, hey, like I'm in the solar industry and this is how I did it, blah, blah, blah. If every single student went and did that, we would all be marketing on top of each other. So I think it is good that's why I say test out a couple of niches and just get your feelers out, when you're using LinkedIn automation, Facebook automation, to reach out into these areas, even your advertising. It's going to help you determine how many sales calls you're booking and if that's actually working for you. Car dealerships, not necessarily a lead generation business. Customers actively search for cars. So focusing on brand awareness for these types of businesses, I think, is the most important. Vehicle hire, not conventional lead generation, requires creative and Google ads. It's moderately challenging. So that's why we listed it as medium. Wedding planners, potential in-market subsection. It needs patience. It can be profitable with target ads. But again, this is the type of thing that people look for when they need it. So that's why I say it's medium, because it's not the easiest to land as a client, but also not the easiest to get them leads, right? Shed suppliers, slightly higher ticket, potentially e-commerce or hybrid. It's a good niche, but it is more challenging. Mortgages, challenging due to the professional nature of the service. It does require a well thought out strategy. It can be a great industry to work with. But again, they do I've had a couple mortgage clients and we did a great job generating leads for them. But again, the consistency behind, are they constantly contacting those leads, and what is the sales cycle for them to actually get somebody in there to actually close a mortgage? Because based on where they're at in their buying process can be challenging. Senior care requires a thoughtful approach. It's more than just lead generation. Potentially there is good demand there. And And again, it could be a great industry to go into. I put it as medium difficulty, just because it will take a little bit more strategy. But if you think about it, if you can be effective with the strategy, because again, these are family members a lot of times putting their mother or father like in senior care. It's an important thought process, and there's a lot of emotion involved in it. So that's why I said it takes a thoughtful approach, because it has to be really careful and tasteful, but could be a really good industry. Racetracks, unique niche with potential for specific markets. It does require creative marketing strategies, so I put it as medium. Cosmetic surgeons, these are highly profitable when targeted correctly. It does require a little bit more sophistication with the marketing strategy. So I wouldn't necessarily, if you're a brand new beginner, that's why I wouldn't necessarily take this on until you have your feet wet on marketing and understanding how to build out effective strategies for companies like such. Med spas includes a variety of treatments like Botox and fillers, requires targeted marketing. This one, the reason I put medium is it does take a little bit more understanding, but it can be a really good industry. Now, I personally have a few med spa companies that I work with. There's so many services, you guys, that like there's potential inside of. Like we work with companies that do an Emcella product, which is for urinary incontinence, laser hair removal. You've got TRT therapy. Like there's a lot of things inside of med spas. So I listed it here as medium because it does take some know-how as far as the marketing strategy. But overall, great industry to go into. Real estate agents, okay? Selling to experienced salespeople, not beginner friendly, can be very successful with the right strategy. It can be a great industry. Real estate agents, you guys, 5 to 10% of them make a lot of money while the other 90% starve. That's just kind of the facts of the industry. So you can either like really go after the brokers and like the people with the teams. Otherwise, you're going to need a low end strategy to get your foot into this, into real estate agents, because the likelihood is they won't be able to afford like a super expensive marketing package. So just keep that in consideration when looking at it. Event planners covers various events like weddings, birthdays, requires a specific marketing strategy as well. I've worked with a lot of students that went into events, and I listed it as medium because while they were able to close a lot of stuff, I think they did struggle a little bit with actually getting leads across the door, like ticket sales and stuff like that too. So it does require more in-depth marketing strategies to get the client across the ticket line, I guess you could say. Interior design requires reaching out to the creative and market savvy business owners, challenging due to word of mouth resilience. I do work with a couple of interior designers, and again, have worked well with SEO, with advertising. Again, I'm in the luxury market, so dealing with luxury interior designers that are working on $10 million plus homes. So just keep that in consideration. But in doing so, you are working with a much higher caliber individual. They are creatives, so they have a lot of input on what they want and what they need out of the service. So I put it as medium, just because it is a little bit more challenging in that way. Videographers, higher ticket service with potential for scaling, more open to marketing, but requires targeting. Hot tub installation, higher ticket service with specific target market, requires a specialized marketing approach. A lot of times this could probably be up there with pool cleaners, but I just think that pool cleaners is a more overall relevant service for people. Like, more people, I think, have pools than have hot tubs. So, me, for instance, we've got a beautiful pool out back, but we do not have a hot tub. I don't know if we have any need or want to actually install a hot tub at our place, but it can be a good service overall. Tattoo parlors. Tattoo parlors are great when they're not too busy. Okay, most of the really good tattoo artists, as you guys know, I'm quite tatted up myself. I can't really see that. There we go. But I can tell you that most of my tattoo artists, you guys, were booked out for months at a time already, because if their work is good, they're working off of a ton of referrals. So while it can be good to find tattoo parlors that maybe aren't busy and work in that industry, it can be a little bit difficult, because a lot of good tattoo artists just have, they just work off of a ton of referrals. So they don't necessarily need lead gen. Florists, high-end, good potential if targeting high-end services, requires specialized marketing for niche client base. Again, you could target florists towards wedding planners or people getting married. Like, there's a lot of different ways to target florists, or to target clients for florists. But overall, it does require a little bit of a specialized marketing approach. So if you're brand new, it wouldn't necessarily be one I would think about going into. Spa and wellness, increasing demand for wellness services, requires targeted marketing strategies. Personal chefs, niche market with specific clientele, requires targeted and creative marketing approach. Self-storage, okay, consistent demand, but requires targeted marketing. It is good for local lead generation. I put medium here just because, I don't know. I mean, it is somewhat, I think, limited, as you don't have as many of them around, but at the same time, people are constantly looking for storage. So I do think that if you got your foot in the door, it could potentially be a really good industry. Veterinary clinics, steady demand for pet health services. Effective marketing can include offers like free health checkups. Again, people with their pets. I think that a lot of times, like, some of this will be based on referral marketing, but at the same time, it does work great with ads. So cryotherapy, it's emerging in health and wellness right now, requires targeted and informed marketing approaches. I do think there's less of them around, just because it is kind of a new industry, but could very well be a good industry for you to go into. IV therapy. Sometimes this goes in with med spa, but there are also facilities that just do IV therapy. So it's a growing interest in health and wellness. It needs a specific marketing strategy. From experience, like, I have a med spa that does IV therapy ads, and we do extremely well with those ads. They're typically getting leads for $9 or $10 a lead. And with proper retargeting strategies, proper SMS marketing, newsletters, like I've talked to you guys about, that consistent follow-up of reaching out to that individual that opted in, it just kind of keeps you fresh of mind, and people will come in for service. So it does work well. Now the hard ones. So alcohol stores, requires experience handling, generally e-commerce, good ROI, but definitely not for beginners. And let's tie that in with e-commerce, you guys. There's a lot of e-commerce going on right now, new stores popping up. If you aren't tech savvy, like if you've never run your own e-commerce business, it's definitely not suitable for you. Let's put it that way. I think if you don't have experience in e-commerce, like I had quite a few e-commerce clients, you guys, but keep in mind, from 2016 to about 2020, I was building and flipping Shopify businesses. I had a very successful women's yoga company that did over $2 million on Shopify. And that's why I was able to go into that industry. But this is what I will tell you from experience. You're going to get a lot of individuals that don't understand business coming through your funnels, right? They watched some course online that taught them how to start a store, and now, they want to scale and need help. And like, definitely if you're talking to drop shippers and stuff like that, it's going to be low ticket items, clothing companies, print on demand companies. I would just stay away from it. It's too hard to, especially if you're a beginner, to scale in that. Online courses, the industry's saturated. You guys, many coaches lack understanding. Success depends on more than just ads for these clients. There's a lot of moving parts to online courses and building in strategies. And I think you'll find that you'll end up actually doing more coaching than you will actually agency services for these individuals, because they just don't get the full picture. Electronics falls under e-commerce, not suitable for local brick and mortar. There's very high competition. Travel agents, opportunity for boutique agents with great content. It's challenging due to content needs, okay? A lot of times they just don't have content strategy in place, and for that content strategy to be effective, right? Clothing stores, highly knowledgeable clients, often with ad experience. That's the other thing with e-commerce. A lot of these people have run their own ads, so they think they know what they're doing, even if they're failing epically. So you're dealing with a lot of ego, okay? Hotels, similar challenges as travel agents, requires comprehensive marketing. I've done ads for quite a few hotels, and we have been effective with it, but it's definitely not as easy as some of the other niches to go into. SaaS requires experience. We're not talking about go high level SaaS here, you guys. We are talking about software as a service, applications, stuff like that. Software that people use within their business. It's typically a specific focus, and it can be very profitable if targeted well. Also depends on the cost of the software for individuals. Event venues requires involvement in overall marketing strategy, not just a simple generation service. You've got online tutors, similar challenges to online courses, typically requires more than just ads, like a lot of educational materials to land clients for them. Lawyers, you guys, it's a very professional market. It's hit extremely hard because the value is definitely there. A lot of lawyers spend a lot of money on marketing because they have to. Their cost per lead on Google's insane. It requires significant experience in the market for it to work, okay? Supplement companies, high potential ROI, requires experience due to the competitive nature of the market. There's just so many different supplements on the market, and ease of just going to Amazon and grabbing it, right? So it does take a lot of market research and understanding the industry. Cosmetic dentists, high demand, but requires access to business owners and proof of concept. It can be challenging. Hair transplants, very profitable with high ROI. It does require experience and strong case studies for you to land those clients. So if you are going to go into this industry and you have no case studies, you probably have to do some free work to get that done, okay? Other agencies, requires being a successful agency yourself to offer valuable services. It's not recommended without a strong portfolio. You guys, if you're going to run a marketing agency and you learn all this stuff and you try to go coach it out the gate, like if you haven't gotten your agency to a certain point, like you're gonna pull yourself away, and it's gonna get really, really difficult to scale either business. So unless you've gotten to a point of your business is running itself, you've got a team in place, like all that's, like I wouldn't even consider thinking about building out a coaching or anything like that until you've solidified your business. Okay. Nonprofits often have significant funding, but seek established agencies, challenging due to specific needs. Sports specialist shops, you've got incredible potential when targeted correctly. Often e-commerce based, requires specific knowledge. jet charter. It is a high-end market with a specific audience. Requires custom audience targeting and advanced marketing strategies. It's not necessarily easy to find the individuals that would work with these companies. So it is a hard industry. Same thing with yacht charter. It's the same as jets. Jewelers, high value products requires sophisticated marketing and market knowledge. And experience really is needed in this industry for you to understand it. Same thing with art galleries, high-end niche, and requires a lot of understanding, and it can be challenging due to exclusive clientele. Crypto projects, personally, you guys, like, unless you really know this industry, just stay away from it. It's not one that I would get into unless you really understand what you're doing. Furniture stores require experience in e-commerce, challenging, but also can be very lucrative if targeted correctly. Maternal investment, niche and challenging, requires a specific approach, needs to be e-commerce. And we got hardware stores, challenging, that are due to the nature of the product and market, requires a specific e-commerce strategy. And then pet stores, massive potential for ROI, but requires e-commerce expertise, and there is very high competition. So that is it, you guys. This is our list of basically 101 niches that you can take a look at based on what we believe to be the difficulty level. Now, if there's one that we missed on here that you guys have experience with, and again, leave comments down below if you like this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, first of all, thank you guys for checking this out. I hope this was helpful. But again, leave a comment down below. Maybe you're working in an industry, or maybe one of these that I touched on today, you've had a different experience with, and you can tell us why. Okay. But that's it for today. So we'll see you guys next time.